My beloved child, before you scroll away, stay with me for a moment, because what you are about to hear is not ordinary. It carries the weight of a truth that was hidden until the perfect moment arrived. Someone connected to your heart believed they understood everything about you. They thought they had already written the final chapter of your story. But today, everything changed. A truth reached them that they never expected to hear, and the moment those words settled into their heart, the walls they had carefully built began to fall. They realized that many of the stories they had believed were never the complete picture. The silence that followed was louder than any conversation they had ever had. As this unfolds, clarity will come. The emotions they buried for so long suddenly became impossible to ignore. Deep inside, they started questioning every decision they had made, wondering if they had misunderstood the one person who always mattered the most. And the most surprising part? This realization did not come through coincidence. It arrived at exactly the right time, just before something that could reshape both of your paths forever. For a long time, they convinced themselves that walking away was the safest choice. They believed distance would erase every memory and every feeling. Yet the truth they discovered shattered that belief completely. It revealed that many of the obstacles standing between you were built from assumptions rather than reality. The moment this became clear, they could no longer hide from their own emotions. They replayed countless memories, searching for signs they had ignored before. Every smile, every conversation, every goodbye suddenly carried a different meaning. This may resonate as we continue, because sometimes life waits until the perfect moment before revealing what the heart refused to see. The tears were not caused by weakness, they came from realizing how precious something truly was only after believing it had already slipped away. What happened next was even more unexpected. Instead of blaming anyone else, they looked inward. For the first time, they admitted that fear had been making many of their choices. Fear of rejection. Fear of uncertainty. Fear of believing in something bigger than logic could explain. That quiet moment of honesty became the beginning of an emotional awakening they never imagined possible. They realized your strength had always been misunderstood. The qualities they once questioned became the very reasons they admired you the most. Every hidden doubt started transforming into respect, and every unanswered question slowly became hope. Stay with me for a moment, because something huge is waiting for you, and this is only the beginning of what is about to unfold. As the hours passed, an unusual sense of peace replaced the confusion inside them. They stopped listening to outside opinions and finally paid attention to the quiet voice within their own heart. That voice reminded them of the kindness they had witnessed, the patience they had overlooked, and the connection they had tried to ignore. Suddenly, they understood that truth has a way of arriving exactly when it is needed most. The emotional weight they carried for so long became impossible to hide, and they quietly accepted that the image they once held of you had been incomplete. As this unfolds, clarity will come, because sometimes the greatest revelation is not discovering something new, it is finally seeing what was always there. Now the story reaches a turning point. The truth has already changed them, but its greatest impact has not yet appeared. A decision is forming in their heart, one they never imagined making until this very moment. They know that some opportunities appear only once, and they can no longer pretend nothing has changed. The next step they take could transform everything they believed about this connection. Whether that step happens today or tomorrow, the direction has already shifted. The silence has been broken, the hidden truth has been revealed, and the chapter ahead carries possibilities that neither of you could have predicted. This may resonate as we continue, because what happens next will the quiet transformation inside them did not end with that single realization. In fact, it had only just begun. Every passing hour made the truth feel even heavier, and every attempt to ignore it only brought it back stronger. They found themselves revisiting moments they once dismissed as ordinary, only to discover that those moments had quietly shaped their heart all along. Stay with me for a moment, because the next revelation changes everything. They began to understand that what they had been searching for in countless places had been standing before them all along. The certainty they once carried disappeared, replaced by a powerful question they could no longer escape: what if they had been wrong about you from the very beginning? As this unfolds, clarity will come, because this realization is leading them toward a decision they never thought they would have to make. What makes this story even more surprising is that no one expected this change to happen so quickly. The people around them noticed something different. Their silence became deeper, their thoughts wandered more often, and their attention drifted toward memories they had tried to forget. They were no longer trying to prove themselves right. Instead, they were searching for understanding. That shift changed everything. For the first time in a long while, they imagined what life might look like if they had chosen trust instead of doubt. They wondered how many beautiful moments had slipped away simply because they listened to fear instead of their heart. This may resonate as we continue, because sometimes the greatest turning point arrives quietly, without anyone realizing history is being rewritten. Then something completely unexpected happened. A simple reminder, something most people would overlook, brought every hidden emotion rushing back at once. It was not dramatic. It was not loud. Yet it carried enough meaning to make them stop everything they were doing. In that moment, they finally accepted that the connection they had tried to move beyond had never truly left them. The truth they heard was no longer just information. It became a mirror reflecting everything they had refused to face. And that mirror showed them a future that still held possibility instead of regret. Something huge is waiting for you, because the next choice they make could become the moment that changes the direction of this entire story forever. If this story is keeping you wondering what happens next, make sure you're subscribed and share it with someone who enjoys uplifting stories filled with unexpected turns. There is still one final piece of this journey that has not been revealed, and it explains why this emotional breakthrough happened at exactly the right time. The silence has ended, the truth has been accepted, but the most meaningful chapter has not yet begun. Stay with me for a moment, because what comes next is not about looking back anymore, it is about discovering what becomes possible when truth finally replaces misunderstanding. A new chapter quietly began the moment they stopped running from the truth. What surprised them most was not what they had learned about you, it was what they discovered about themselves. Stay with me for a moment, because this is where the story takes a turn that almost no one sees coming. They realized they had been carrying invisible fears that kept them from seeing your heart clearly. Those fears had whispered doubts into their mind for far too long, making ordinary moments seem confusing and simple misunderstandings feel much larger than they truly were. But now, with every passing day, those fears were losing their power. As this unfolds, clarity will come, because the next realization would give them the courage they never believed they had. The more they reflected, the more impossible it became to ignore the signs they had overlooked. They remembered the patience you showed when things became difficult, the quiet strength you carried without asking for recognition, and the kindness that remained even during uncertain moments. Each memory became another piece of a puzzle finally falling into place. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen?" they started asking, "What can I do differently now?" That single question changed the direction of their thoughts completely. This may resonate as we continue, because real transformation begins when someone chooses understanding over assumptions. For the first time, hope felt stronger than hesitation, and possibility became brighter than fear. Then came the moment that caught them completely off guard. Without planning it, they found themselves imagining a conversation they once believed would never happen. They wondered what they would say if given another chance to speak honestly, without pride, without confusion, and without the weight of old misunderstandings. They weren't searching for perfect words anymore, they were searching for a genuine beginning. That quiet desire revealed something powerful. Their heart was no longer looking for reasons to walk away. It was looking for reasons to move forward. Something huge is waiting for you, because a heartfelt decision is beginning to take shape, and once it is made, there may be no turning back. As the sun set on another day, peace slowly replaced the uncertainty they had carried for so long. They understood that some truths arrive late, not because they are unimportant, but because the heart must be ready to receive them. The lesson they learned about you became far greater than they expected. It reminded them that genuine connections cannot be measured by rumors, assumptions, or temporary distance. They are revealed through honesty, patience, and time. Stay with me for a moment, because the final chapter is where everything comes together, revealing why every twist, every delay, and every hidden truth was leading toward one unforgettable ending. The moment they finally accepted what their heart had been trying to tell them, everything around them felt different. The questions that had once filled their minds slowly faded, replaced by a quiet certainty they could not explain. Stay with me for a moment, because this final revelation brings the entire journey together. They understood that the truth about you had never been hidden, it had simply been covered by noise, assumptions, and fear. Once those distractions disappeared, they could finally see your character with fresh eyes. As this unfolds, clarity will come, because sometimes the greatest miracle is not discovering someone new, but recognizing the value of someone who was always there. With every passing day, they became more certain that this connection deserved honesty instead of hesitation. They no longer wanted unanswered questions to control their future. Instead, they wanted understanding to guide every step ahead. The emotional weight they carried turned into quiet determination. They realized that every challenge had taught them something valuable, preparing them for a moment they once believed would never arrive. This may resonate as we continue, because life often saves its most meaningful lessons for those who are willing to wait. What once looked like an ending now appeared to be the beginning of a completely different chapter filled with hope instead of uncertainty. And here is the part almost no one expects. The truth that made them quietly break down did not leave them feeling defeated, it gave them a new sense of purpose. They understood that genuine connections are strengthened by truth, not weakened by it. Instead of looking backward with regret, they began looking forward with gratitude for everything they had learned. Something huge is waiting for you, because every step they take from this point forward will be guided by wisdom they did not have before. Sometimes the most emotional moments become the foundation for the brightest future, and that is exactly what this story has been leading toward from the very beginning. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who enjoys meaningful stories of hope and unexpected turning points, and subscribe so you don't miss the next journey. There is always another lesson waiting just beyond the chapter that seems complete. Stay with me for a moment, because every ending carries the seed of a new beginning, and sometimes the greatest truth is that patience, understanding, and kindness have the power to change a story in ways no one could have imagined.